Hello. Bringing up the paper. Audrey. So your paper 2 is controversies in the nursing community. Let's jump in. Controversy is a debated topic among those in a society. Controversies can happen anywhere, in politics, schools, and the workplace. While nursing is a very popular profession, there are a few debated topics in the nursing world. These topics include things such as number of hours worked, the amount of pay, and job hazards. These topics are also connected to each other in the way that they have a direct relationship. Excuse me. What? Oh, if the number of hours goes up, the pay should increase as well. Wait, what? Number of hours worked. Oh, okay. Okay, I see what you're saying. These topics not only affect nurses during their... you got the right effect. That always makes me happy. But it also affects their spouses and children. If one does not have a good support system, it can be difficult to balance... Whoa. Why are we jumping to that? I mean, I kind of see where you're going there, but a nurse's support system seems like a really kind of big jump to make. Nurses should have better pay for the hours they work, plus the hazards that come into play during their jobs. Okay. So, introductions are really, really hard. I would start this paper. I mean, what I usually do myself for introductions is I write one, and then when I go back, I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. This is just how it is for me. And often I end up just cutting off like the first 5 sentences. Even when I try to be like, this time I'm going to skip those. I'm going to do it right the first time. Like, I can't do it. But I think that might work for yours. Certainly you could start it while nursing is a very popular profession. So often when people are teaching students to write, they will talk about like starting big and then getting small, right? Start with the entire world and then get down to your topic. That's a very legitimate and effective approach a lot of the time, but you're writing papers now that are more specific, so you don't need to start with like all the controversy in the world. You can start with nursing, if that makes sense. Okay. First controversy for nursing is the pay. 82% of nurses are paid based on how many hours they work. Interesting. Honestly, I thought they are. Well, standard nursing, they all were. The standard nursing... A standard nursing shift is 12 hours working 3 days in a row. With that 12-hour shift, nurses can end up staying after to update the incoming nurses, and most miss their lunch breaks because they are so busy. So one 12-hour shift can easily turn into a 14-hour shift. Or if the hospital is short-staffed in that certain area, nurses may be asked to stay or cover another area. The average nursing salary is $73,000. Whoa. Okay, what you're missing here is... when you say the standard nursing shift is a particular length of time, and you talk about missing lunch breaks, these are things that definitely have to do with nurses' unions, and I would guess also with the law, right, about how long people can work and what happens, like who theoretically everyone has to have a lunch break, but I know teachers are frequently like exempted from that. I think the law is that you have to give people half an hour at least for... I don't know. It doesn't matter. But yeah, we need to get into a little bit about like why that is and what the laws are that help kind of... Because these aren't just decisions hospitals are making just like on their own. Okay, the average nursing salary is this. There's a pay gap between male and female nurses. Oh my god. Nursing is still a mostly female-dominated profession. There's evidence that male nurses are earning more than female nurses. So for that little bit of information, I'm guessing maybe these came from the same source. The average salary and then the male nurses thing. I would just put that all in your own words and then say where you got it. Because you don't need to directly quote that. It's mostly female-dominated profession. There's evidence. You can definitely put that in your own words. There's nothing special about how the person said it. So you can say it in your own words. Some hospitals also compensate or shift differential based on which shift you choose. If you choose the weekend night shift, you will be paid extra for working those hours. According to the poll, 30% of nurses predict that they receive compensation. You mean... Okay, I see. I just don't know the language here. Gotcha. Controversy here is, should nurses be paid more for the work that they do? But this doesn't include nurses going above and beyond expectations. Okay, we're talking again about how they should be paid more. But okay, we were talking about, sorry, let me go back. We have shifts, nursing shifts, and how they're handled. We have average salary. Then we have pay gap between male and female nurses. Then we have extra pay for working these particular shifts. And I feel like I need to hear a lot more about all four of those things. I feel like you just kind of throw it out. Maybe you're going to get into this, but I feel like there's too much here to really be like just a preview of what you're going to talk about, and too little here for me to like actually kind of get where you're going. Okay. Taking new nurses under their wings and guiding them, advocating for patients when they need help, making sure the patient is getting top-tier care no matter how the patient treats the nurse. Nurses may work on a pay-by-the-hour job, but their paychecks do not reflect the behind-the-scenes work they do. For example, in the pediatric department, they're not only advocating for the child, but the parents as well, seeing that parents are not taken care of. Not only physically, but emotionally, since a hard diagnosis can take a toll on their mental health. So basically getting into this issue of like, should nurses be paid more if they're in more demanding areas, which I don't really know anything about that, but like the pediatric setting. In most specialties, nurses do not take care of parents, a support system, and job hazards affect their day-to-day work. Nice transition. Now we go into that. The job hazards nurses face may surprise you since they're not your typical hazards you would see in construction, for example. Nurses face hazards such as accidental needle sticks. Nurses are not compensated for the extra hazards, though they may face them daily. So when you say construction as your other example, and that nurses aren't compensated for extra hazards, I guess I'm wondering then how that would work, because certainly when you bring up construction, I'm like, people work construction frequently, work in unsafe conditions as well. Okay, when working in the ER, a patient may come up with delusions or signs of aggression, and as a nurse, you're still duty to treat them. Giving a shot, they may flinch, lose control of the needle, you may stab yourself. Yes, examples, spillage of bodily fluids, affect nurses' day-to-day lives. So I think what would be more effective here is for you to find a story of a nurse whose life really was affected by a hazard like this. I think that would be much more effective. Because you're right, I mean, all these things are true, but I think I would be much more drawn in by like one particular story, or even two particular stories, maybe. The hazards of nursing a dangerous career, smaller hazards, the mental side of nursing takes a large toll on one's mental health when a hard specialty. Gotcha. Okay, now we're back to amount of hours per shift. Okay, so maybe that section was previewing, because after that paragraph that's on page, okay, I don't know what page it is. Let's see, page 2. You do seem to be going back through this stuff. The job hazards. Now we're going to go back to hours per shift. Average shift makes a long shift for nurses to work this shift 3 days a week, most nurses 3 days in a row. Although some hospitals let you choose your schedule, this writer talks about the reality of working the night shift, how physically exhausting it is for your body. Yeah, I don't think I could do it. Going off what Gaines is saying, this means you're working 3 days, but it takes 4 days out of your week. Yeah, for sure. This also relates to the pay. If one shift can turn into 2 days, should nurses be compensated for that as well? This is going to affect a nurse's home life if they have children. Takes away from home life, which is something to consider before becoming a nurse. Okay, so yeah, I think I see what you're doing now, and so I would suggest that when you preview that stuff on page 2, you just do much less discussion, just a little tiny bit, like here's the list I'm going to discuss, and save more of your detail for when we get into this part. As well as, like I said, we would want to include something about how legally this works and how this works with nurses' unions. Not every profession is affected by unions. at all, but nursing is. Uh, okay, amount of hours per shift. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm here. All these controversies connect to each other in some way. This is a great point that I think is maybe the strongest thing in your paper. The amount of hours you were, how you're paid, hazards, oncology nursings are on the top. Oh, okay. So you're saying oncology nurses do get paid more because that is more hazardous. Emergency room nurses make an average of this, which is only 3,000 more than average. So does not reflect all the knowledge you need to be able to perform. Okay. Nursing told me. All right. So this is something I would compare to teaching as well. That, although it's much more so in teaching, I think, than in the medical field, that, like you said, some fields of nursing you do get paid more and it's justified because you are in more danger. But working in the emergency room, you aren't paid more, even though you need more skills, a much wider variety of skills and all that. And you might just even raise in your paper, like, why are ER nurses so poorly paid? And you might or might not have time to address that. But yeah, we definitely have the same problem in teaching, which is that the hardest teaching jobs, which are with students who have, the most difficulties outside of school, basically, or learning difficulties or that kind of thing, like those are the lowest paid jobs in teaching. And the highest paid jobs of teaching are the easiest ones, working with students who have a lot of support at home, who have a lot of access to resources. Anyway, so I like that point. Nurses should have better pay for the amount of hours they work, plus all the hazards they face. Many shifts go in 12 hours. Okay, and one more thing I'll add to talking about the 12-hour shift is that I believe, it would be great for you to do some research on that, but I believe there are good reasons why nursing shifts are 12 hours long. So that's definitely something you should return to. You don't have to agree that that's a good reason, but you do need to talk about why they are 12 hours. So cool. I think though your sources, I think even in this style they're supposed to be alphabetized, but I could be wrong. So I'll let you double check on that. Okay. Thanks for your paper. I enjoyed it.